Hi, I'm Susan Reid, and we're here at King Arthur Flour in the Baking Education Center. And today we're going to make a blitz bread called No Fuss Focaccia. It's really, really easy to do. It's one of the fastest ways to get bread on the table. And even if you think you can't make bread, you can make this bread. So let's get to work. First thing I'm going to do is put 12 ounces of water in this bowl. And then I'm going to give it some yeast. This is a tablespoon of instant yeast. We have a tip on site where you can find out about types of yeast. I recommend you check it out, especially if you're afraid of baking bread. So we're going to put some yeast in the water, salt, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I like to weigh my ingredients because it's much faster. So you just put your bowl on the scale, have it go to 0. 2 tablespoons of olive oil weighs 7/8 of an ounce. There we go. Next comes the flour. And the way you measure your flour is very, very important. This recipe calls for 3½ cups of flour. Flour has a tendency to compact when it travels. So the proper way to measure it is to stir it up in its container, sprinkle it into a measuring cup, and level off the top. So this cup of flour should weigh 4¼ ounces. Let's zero at the scale. Bingo. Now the total amount of flour for this is 3½ cups, which weighs 14¾ ounces. You can make this bread lots of different ways. You can flavor it any way you like. You can put some pizza dough flavoring or some powdered cheese. You can buy cheese powder, or even grated cheese is fine. If you don't have this, you can use this. So that goes in. You can put any kind of herbs in here. Herbs de Provence are nice. We have a pizza seasoning blend that's got some basil and oregano and red pepper, which we like. So I usually add a little bit of that. And we might sprinkle a little of this on top later on once it's finished. Now we're going to stir it up. Now you can do this with our handy little Danish dough whisk, or you can do this at a mixer at high speed for 1 minute. That's all it needs. But for 1 minute, I think I have enough horsepower here to take care of it. So this is going to be kind of a wet dough, and that's fine. And this dough is going to sit in a pan for an hour. That's all it needs to rise. But first I have to get the pan ready. So I'm going to let this sit for a second. This needs a couple tablespoons of olive oil, very scientifically measured. We're just going to spread this around, make sure that the bread won't stick. Just kind of catch the edges a little bit. And it's going to look like a little puddle, that's fine. This is one of those places where the flavor of your olive oil counts. So this is an extra virgin olive oil. We want that little bit of fruity flavor to go next to the cheese. It's going to be a nice combination. I'm also going to oil. This is my dough scraper, and since, as we said, that's a sticky dough, I don't want it to stick to my tool. It's going to take it I'm going to scrape it out of here and into here. Simple enough. I'm going to take a little of this oil to help keep it off my fingers. Now this won't fill the entire pan right away, but that's fine. You're just going to oil your hands and squish it out. This bread is so easy to do, you can take it with you on the road. You can give it as gifts. Say you have a picnic or something coming up, or a cookout at someone's house. Mix all the dry ingredients, put it in a bag, take it with you. When you get there, you can mix it up. By the time the barbecue is ready, it's ready to pop in the oven. And if you want to leave a really nice hostess gift, you can have all of the bread ready to go right here. Bring a copy of the recipe, and once they've tried it, they'll be very, very happy. You can say, you can make bread. Add water, add olive oil, you have bread. Now we're going to cover this and let it rise for an hour. I'm going to be using a shower cap from a hotel. to cover it up. Now this will rise for an hour, and then it's ready to pop into an oven. In about half an hour, I'm going to turn the oven on to 375 degrees because you want it hot before it goes in, and it takes a little while for the oven to heat up. We've had our hour's rest. The dough's had its chance to rise, and I'm going to drizzle it with a little bit of olive oil, and we're going to just tick a little bit, perforate the top. You don't want to poke a hole through it, but I'm going to spread this around a little bit, tease this a little bit further out so it gets all the way to the edge. I'm just going to sort of give it several belly buttons here. Then we're going to give a little more sprinkle of herbs on top. If you wanted to, you could put caramelized onions on here if you liked. You could put some chopped fresh basil if that was your inclination. And we're just going to give it a nice little, it's perfectly fine just like this, but we're in Vermont. We believe in cheese. So we believe that some cheese should go on here. And it's very simple. It just goes into the preheated oven, 375-degree oven, and it bakes for 35 to 40 minutes. Whenever a recipe gives you a range of time, always set your timer for the lower amount. You can always bake it more, but you cannot back up. So that's what we'll do. And here's our focaccia. It's still warm. And this is actually kind of fun. This is where the olive oil did its job because this is going to pop right out of the pan. We're just going to put it on this cutting board. And I think it's time to eat.